Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show this Sunday. Listen, I'm going to tell you what. There's so many things for me to talk about right now that I'm like a little bit almost at a loss for words. What's happening in the situation in America? And Canada shares a border. We share a long border and we rely upon the United States of America. Uh, Canada, how could I explain it to you guys? It's almost like Siamese twins. If one twin dies, the other one's in big trouble, and that's the way we are with the United States of America. We're joined at the border, and we're almost like we're joined at the hip. And, I'm going to tell you the situation in America doesn't look good right now. There's a new autonomous state that's developed, a new, I guess they've cordoned off a number of city blocks in Seattle, and they've formed a new state. They called it CHAZ. Now they've changed the name to CHOP. I guess because they're chopping off a piece of America for themselves. Anyway, they won't let police in there and stuff, and they've taken over the police precinct and everything else. And you'd say to yourself, well, why doesn't the military just come in and end this? Well, believe me, there's a reason why. They're afraid that if they do, that this situation could spin out of control somehow. I know that this is what they're worried about, because this feeling, this certain animosity, this certain feeling of loss of control is spreading, not just in America, but through the whole world right now. There's a certain feeling out there. The people, this virus has challenged the entire world. And it doesn't care. It's, from what I understand, is immunity to it might only last a matter of months after a person's had it. So maybe they can catch it again, 8 or 10 months. There's so many things we don't know about this virus. Does this virus actually have a secondary effect? Like say post-virus, you get over the virus and you're going along maybe healthy for 6 or 8 months, and then all of a sudden maybe there's some secondary effect that occurs. Maybe fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue or gosh knows what might happen, and this could affect a huge percentage of the population. Like, in other words, what I'm saying was, even when you're over it, are you really over it? Or is it clinging around in your body doing things that we don't even know yet? Because we don't even know about this virus. And the thing is when the immunity starts to wear off, say a year from now, immunity starts to wear off, is the world in danger of having another outbreak of it, just like the original outbreak, or even worse? And also, this virus has been slowly but surely taking down the world's economy. And right now, it's basically chopped about 20% off of the entire world's economy. So the world's economy was feeding all 8 billion people on Earth. Okay? And relatively successful. Okay, there's a few countries where there was problems, mostly in Africa, and maybe they didn't have enough food. They had food. What's the name for food insecurity? But now that the world has been chopped back by 20% in its productivity, basically, well, there's 8 billion people on Earth. That means 1.6 billion people out there now are basically no food for you. Because the world just is only producing 80% of what it was before, and before it was just barely feeding the 8 billion people. Now it's 20% of that's chopped off, so somebody's going to have an empty bowl at supper time. Putting it mildly. I mean, this is a serious situation. It should be taken very seriously. What if this virus keeps trudging along and keeps cutting world's production of food? I mean, when you see articles like how the virus is hitting very hard migrant workers and stuff, these people are the people that work in the fields, picking the food. If the food doesn't get picked, what if the food doesn't get planted? What if we have diseases and things move through our chicken population, or our hog farm population, or our pork industry and our beef industry? Each time we get a situation like this, say it's a plant that produces meat packing plant, and they all get sick with virus, and what happens? Meat spoils, I mean, just on and on and on it goes, to leading to food insecurity, not just in these third world countries, but food insecurity here can strike home, especially if we get situations that start to manifest themselves that cut off the food supply chains. So I'm going to tell you guys honestly up front, I know that we've been conditioned ever since going back to Twiggy. Do you remember she was that really slender fashion model, that came along, and it changed the fashion industry. Up until that point in time, they used to use fashion models who I'm not going to say they were fat. They weren't fat, but they had some meat on them. They were like voluptuous, they had. And this is what the figure models were back in the 1950s, the pinup girl, glamorous pinup girl, and she had a really nice figure, like Jane Mansfield sort of a figure, or I can't think of some of the other names of these pinup girls, but they had a figure. But then Twiggy came along, and it all changed. And so a lot of the fashion models, they starved themselves to look like Twiggy. And the same thing happened all across America. Fat's bad, thin is in. And this was a mentality, and come on, all of everybody in America, that everybody needs to lose weight. Oh, you're overweight. If you got 10 pounds on you, you're overweight. Well, I'm here to tell you guys right now, all your life, you've worried about your fat. You say, oh, I'm 20 pounds overweight. I always need to lose, or 50 pounds overweight, or 100 pounds overweight. I need to lose this weight. All your life, you've been mentally trained this way. Stop. Embrace your fat, because you might need it. Quite seriously. We're moving so quick into a different kind of world, one we've never experienced before. It's also time, if you guys haven't done it up till now, it's time to think about home defense. Because I'm going to tell you, a situation could be evolving out there right now, very rapidly, where the police forces are basically underfunded and overtaxed. The military even doesn't have the resources to cover every little city and every little nook and cranny, especially if the big cities are going crazy. And they're just spread out too thin, basically. So policing your home might come down to you. And it's time to think about that. It's time to make a plan. I have a plan in place. It's my DEFCON plan. I've moved from DEFCON 0, as which I was in for many years, DEFCON 0. Now I'm in DEFCON 1, and I'm thinking about moving to DEFCON 2 very soon, because of the deteriorating situation that we have right here. I'm thinking about moving from DEFCON 1 to DEFCON 2. It only goes up to DEFCON 4. In DEFCON 4, I put on my tinfoil hat. Anyway. But seriously, guys, it might be time to start thinking about this. It might be time to start thinking about a safe room in your home. Or some sort of a bug out plans don't necessarily mean that you have to take off and leave home forever. It might just mean that you guard your home from a position that's better fortified from a small distance away. you know? And also, you got to think about fresh water. You've got to think about food. And it's not good to put all your eggs in one basket. I know a lot of you guys are preppers out there, and maybe you got a big pantry full of stuff inside your house. Maybe you got a whole dedicated room just for your prepping supplies, and all your food and canned goods and everything else is in there and everything else, right? You got it all in one spot. It might be time about thinking about maybe you got a farm or a homestead. It might be time to think about maybe going into the way down back into the, maybe you got a back area of your property bordering on the woods or whatever. You could dig a little trench back there, right? Take about 6 5-gallon pails. You can buy them at the Home Depot or whatever, real cheap. They got snap-on lids. They're airtight, you know. Get about 6 of them and fill them with rice and beans, dried beans and everything else. Snap the lids on them good and tight. Put them in the trench and lay a board over top of the trench and maybe park something on top of it, some old garbage or something, so nobody even knows it's there, way in the back of your property. And that'd be your secondary food supply. Because what if your first food supply, your numero uno food supply, gets raided? And they trample it all, and there's nothing left for you. By the time you come back to where they've raided it, there's nothing left, maybe a few grains of rice left on the floor or something. What are you going to eat? You know what I mean? Time to think about things like this. We're moving into a whole new paradigm, and this virus is pushing us there so darn fast it makes your head spin. I mean, if you just go back a few months ago, back into 2019, the world was a peaceful, delightful place. Now, all of a sudden, it's a place that we don't recognize anymore. Where did this stupid virus come from, anyway? I got an awful lot of questions about it, you know? And I don't think there's sufficient work being done on analyzing this virus by laboratories and stuff to just see if it has something called gain of function or not. I mean, this thing is weird. It's really, really weird. And, you know, I don't know if anybody's ever going to really find out or not the true origins of it or where it actually come from. But one thing I can tell you, it's hard to get rid of it in the world population. At a certain point, they're going to start to eradicate it somewhat. But I think it's going to start popping up again. And when it pops up, they're going to be absolutely crazy. They're going to go absolutely crazy when it pops up someplace. Like, say, 6 months or 8 months from now. Say, most of the world's over this thing. And all of a sudden it pops up in some remote location. They're going to go absolutely bonkers at trying to stop it because they know that it can spread through the entire world again. This is the most dangerous thing we've ever faced in the history of mankind. In my estimation. Something if just that's invisible, you can't see it, is so highly contagious it's ridiculous. One person catches it and the next thing you know the whole world has it 2 months later, sort of a thing. I mean, that is something that it should be eradicated from mankind. You know, I mean, I don't even think my position on it is even if we do get over this thing completely and nobody on Earth has it anymore, don't even save it in the laboratories. Burn it all. Get rid of it. Because it's too dangerous. One little slip, I mean, in the laboratory or something, you know, and the thing could get loose on the world again and terrorize the world. This is the most horrible disease I've ever seen in my life. It's slowly but meticulously not just taking down the world economy, it's slowly eating away at the world's productivity to a certain point where the people out there are getting restless. I have no other way of putting it, and why I'm talking to you guys about everything I've been talking to you guys about is because I can see that restlessness suddenly breaking loose in a massive way worldwide. And what form it'll take exactly, I don't know. But I do know that it wouldn't be good. And it could leave you on your own. Basically, you'd be on your own. You wouldn't have anybody to bring or help. Create a situation that's untenable. Now, I'm not a quitter. Some people out there say, well, if a situation comes by like that, I'd just give up, and throw their hands up in the air. No, not me. I'm not a quitter. I'll hang in there and I'll do what I have to do. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people. I think a lot of you guys out there in my audience that listen to my show are like me. You're not quitters. But now is the time to start thinking about these things. Mull them through your head and preparing yourself mentally. Prepare yourself mentally. You have to prepare yourself physically for what lies in the very near future ahead. Because things are deteriorating very, very rapidly. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.